Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks. Jobs. Nobody wants to talk about them, but everybody's got to have one. It's the kind of things that put food on the table and pay our bills. But also help us with expanding into our own hobbies, especially for Lego. It's not an easy thing to have just a couple Lego pieces. You always want to have some more to work with, experiment with, and be more creative. So, over time, I've had several part-time jobs, and along the process, I have been working towards a career with a degree. But some of these jobs have actually been Lego related. I haven't necessarily worked with the Lego group in any way, or at a Lego brand store or anything like that, but I have used Lego in my jobs that kind of help in both ways. It helps with the job itself. It also helps with how I got the job and just how I'm going to go forward with my career. So I'm going to be talking about the different jobs that I've had, mostly Lego related, over time. But first, we'll have to start off with the age-old question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Every kid is asked this at some point in their life, and for me, I wasn't really sure at first. I kind of thought at one point construction worker, but I didn't know how likely that was going to be, or how well I'd operate the machinery. But at some point later, towards high school, I started to really hone in on something I wanted to do as a career, and that was elementary school teaching. Not only was Lego a big motivation for me to go in that path, but it's something that I had a lot of fond memories of when I was in the earlier part of grammar school. Lego was in the classroom in some way, shape, or form, be it for free time or actually something to use with lessons. I do remember, and I think every science class at this point demonstrates that DNA is the building blocks of life, and everybody thinks Lego. So yeah. It is definitely something that really helps with getting a visual, something that can be reusable and demonstrate a lot of different skills, and also encourage creativity. So I really like all those different concepts, and I like that idea of trying to encourage that out of other people. So why not go with teaching? So that means most of my jobs will actually be based in some sort of school, education sort of setting. And, well, Lego actually is a part of those. It's actually helped me get to my first job with Snapology. My first part-time job, not even just a Lego job, but a first part-time job anywhere, was with Snapology in northern New Jersey. This was a place that has all different kinds of STEM concepts that are incorporated with Lego in a classroom setting. And the place that I worked at actually had a little bit of two things going on. One thing was an actual facility that you can go to. There were classes available. You could do birthday parties there. There were even special events for scouting and other organizations that would meet there and have some little agenda to do. And then there was another portion of it where I would take the materials to a school and teach concepts there in actual classrooms. So I actually was accompanied with somebody at first when doing these, but eventually I got very familiar with the programs themselves that I could do it with a handful of students, with me being the only instructor. So I'm really happy with that opportunity from a teaching perspective, being more comfortable with present because it allowed me to be more so I'm happy with the opportunity because it allowed me to be more So I'm happy with the opportunity because it allowed me to present things better in a classroom setting and have more public speaking skills enhanced. So I'm happy with the opportunity because I got to be in a classroom setting and perform more public speaking on my own and be able to encourage but also educate the students and each lesson. I also got to develop the lesson plans myself for which things to do per week, even though there was a set certain things to do, but I got to pick the order of them and make sense out of that order of how to scaffold from one thing to another. So that was a lot of fun, and this shirt is actually, it's a little bit worn. First of all, a little bit smaller. This was like 2012 when I started working there, so it's definitely a different size than I am now. But I also did have another kind of shirt like that, where it's just a little smaller icon in the corner. Snapology is still available nowadays, but it is not available in my area. The branch that I worked at closed about a year or two ago. I worked there about 4 to 5 years until the branch closed, and While the facility was no longer there, I did do very similar work after that with a program known as Fun Play Bricks with Donna. It was the same thing that I did with my boss that was there. She still had a lot of the materials, but she wasn't doing it with any of the Snapology advertising or anything like that. It was very independent and still working with a lot of schools since we already had a reputation with them. So I still got that ability, but I had to bring all the materials to each classroom. There was no longer a place for me to just set everything up in advance. At one point, I was actually invited to be part of my local library for a Lego club that they were starting. This was something brand new, and they knew that I was very much involved with Lego, so I was a part of some of their classes. So the fun thing about it was they let me set up the lesson plan, they let me know if I needed any extra materials or anything, and I would give them all that information before we got any dates plotted. And, we kind of set up a few ideas for the themes. I remember there was an art theme, Angry Birds theme, and a Star Wars theme. I think they're in reverse order of each other, so art was last and Star Wars was first. But this was actually a really cool thing for me to do because I got to be very much in control of how the lesson plan would go. I had my own things that were set up, such as different concepts. For Star Wars, I set up a class that was in a certain area of the library where we would go over different things in Star Wars, different scenes, characters, vehicles, any concepts that were from any of the films. So that would be a way of getting everyone to remember the different things that Star Wars offered. And with that, I encouraged them to build something out of it, be it a scene or a vehicle or build some characters with it. And most of the Lego that was there was provided by the library, so I didn't need too many that were from my own collection, which is good that they already had a supply available. The next class had to do with actual more instructional build. We had one thing set up with how to build a catapult for Angry Birds. Theoretically launching the birds into a castle or something that I created. So I set up the instructions. I made sure the pieces were all there so that multiples of these can be built for every kid. That was part of the class. And I actually created all the castles. It was so easy for the castles to fall over, though. I kind of made it that way so that they had a lot of fun with launching things with the catapult. But I thought that was actually really cool to change things up a little bit, where I got to set everything up and give a little bit of creativity here and there, but there was a nice little flow, the instructional build with that. The third thing that we had as part of that was art, and this is going back to a lot more of doing anything the kids would like to do. So I talked with them a little bit about different types of art, such as sculptures, mosaics, the difference between 2D and 3D art, and things like that, to, again, encourage them of different ways they can use the Lego pieces in different colors and shapes and styles to create something out of it that would look more like an art piece. And there were actually a good bunch of things that were built out of that, most of them done on 32 by 32 base plates. So that was a lot of fun to do. And it was a brief gig. I wasn't really asked to come back for that, but I didn't really see a problem. I don't know. Maybe there's something that the library couldn't fit into their schedule later on. But I really hope that I get to do that again, because I really enjoyed that project. Sometime later, I got back into the STEM program with a place known as Little Ivy Academy. This is, again, pretty local to me, but it did have a similar vibe as when I was doing Fun Play Bricks with Donna, in which I would have all the materials prepared for me. I would have to bring them with me in my car to a school or other facility, teach a lesson, and then bring them back when I was done. One thing that was really exciting about this was not only was I doing a couple new programs and lessons, which I would learn in advance and have prepared with or without a teacher and assistant, but also I had the opportunity to experience it with new stuff. I have done some Lego Education We Do stuff, which is compatible with Lego Power Functions. I've done that in the past a bunch of times. And luckily with that, it also means I'm good with troubleshooting it if kids have a problem with building a certain model. Now, what was a bonus to that is that I got to experience Lego Mindstorms, the NXT form of it. I haven't really done that much with it up to this point in any way, be it through a job or otherwise. So this was something that I was really looking forward to being a part of. And this was actually a simple way for me to understand, a simple way for kids to understand, and had the potential of a lot of different projects that can be made out of it using a computer program, transmitting it to the NXT robot, and then making it perform actions. I really had fun with that one, even though it was for a brief time. So up to this point, that's where I am with Lego-related part-time jobs, and they've actually helped me with my education career. They have helped me not only with a resume, but also getting more into the rhythm of teaching in front of several students, and being able to teach concepts through the ability of using Lego. Now, some of you may have known a while ago I put out a video that was in part of an application to Playwell. And unfortunately, things didn't work out with the process of working with them as a part-time job, but I still enjoyed getting to communicate with them and getting some understanding of how they run their programs, which I think is, again, a little bit more different from what I've done previously. It has some basic things about traveling with multiple totes of Lego bricks and having certain things lined up with them for engineering concepts, but it was something that was also done in a unique way and had some potential for something really cool. Unfortunately, I don't have that job, but I will be on the lookout for something that I'm sure will come up in the near future. I thought I was done, but there's another t-shirt here. I'm not even sure what it's for, and oh, yeah. So this one was actually for when I was doing some pizza delivery last year. I still am having a pizza delivery job right now, but it's not really related to the video. I've had some other part-time jobs in between these, but they didn't really involve Lego in any way, so I didn't think it was worth mentioning. But, yep. They are some of them have helped with the education field I'm pursuing. I did one that was an internship at William Patterson and was a teacher's aide in certain classes, so that was a good experience and definitely was still helping students. But there was no Lego involved with that, so I didn't really want to elaborate that much on that part in this video. Let me know in the comments below, have you used Lego in any job that you've had, either full-time or part-time? I'm sure somebody's probably going to mention something about Lego store experience, and even though I've applied to the Lego brand stores, I have not been called in for an interview or hired in any way. I probably would have mentioned something about it if that was the case, but that's not really happening right now. I live too far away from a Legoland Discovery Center for me to do some sort of work there. And I know that there is a sort of Legoland or Legoland Discovery Center that is going to be near me, but that's still a few years off. It's only being constructed right now. So I'm not expecting anything out of that. Believe me, I would have loved to work in a Toys R Us, and I would have been great at the different toy demonstrations for different events, and even have some Lego events under my belt, but that just wasn't in the cards, and by the time I applied, it was, on its way out. So, unfortunately, there's no Toys R Us employee experience I have to talk about. We'll see you next time with more Lego videos, and thank you for watching. I guess technically this is a post-credits scene, but there is another job or two that I had. I just don't count in the same way as the other jobs. Those are ones where I had an employer and a steady income and specific schedule for when I was working and a lot more, to them that any particular job would have. But I did have an income that was based around Lego when I've worked with YouTube, obviously. I occasionally get something from ad revenue, but it's not something that I get consistently or through any major income that I could really consider it a job. It's not a thing that I can do at this moment or really expect to do in the near future. I've also had some experience with Lego selling through eBay and Bricklink, sometimes through Facebook, and again, it's very inconsistent of when that actually happens. It was a very freelance thing. I was, self-employed per se, but I wasn't like paying myself by the hour for that kind of work. It's just something that I would obtain from any time I made a sale. But that was in all the time, you know what I mean? So it was something, but I don't count it as a job the way I count the other stuff. I just thought I'd put it in here as a footnote for those who might say, oh, didn't you do something else with Lego? But yeah, that's pretty much wrapping everything up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.